Have you ever wondered what these extra holes at the top of your running shoes are for? They're designed so that you can tie the shoes in multiple different ways. That's useful when you want to compensate for things such as a bad stride or even a damaged toe. Plus, you can change the look of your shoes the way you prefer. Many people use a dust jacket of their book as a bookmarker. No problem with that, it will save your book from bent page corners. But the primary purpose of a dust cover is to keep the book safe from distortions. For instance, if you spill juice or drop some of the food on your book while reading it. The Tic Tac dispenser has this little groove on its top, so you can dispense only one Tic Tac at a time. Even though, let's be honest here, nobody does that. Most of us just spill a whole bunch at once, and then we wiggle all those extra Tic Tacs back in. Those rubber bumps you see between the tire treads are there for your safety. The raised edges tell you what the minimum height of your tread is. If the bump and the edges are even, it's time for you to visit the tire shop as soon as possible. But if the bumps are well beneath the level of the edges, you're good to go. What about that black grating on the microwave window? It's something called a Faraday shield, and it's there to prevent microwaves from getting away and turning the entire room into a Faraday cage. If the microwaves escape, your meal won't cook properly either. So yep, the cage is not there to make it difficult for you to see your meal while it's cooking. It's keeping the electromagnetic energy inside. How about a wrench-compatible screwdriver? Cover your screwdriver with the end of your wrench and you can increase its torque. That's why the head of your screwdriver is designed the way it is. When you have odd angles, you can use this strategy. You've probably heard those myths, the blue side of the eraser can erase the pen? False. Its purpose is to erase a pencil, but in case you're writing something on heavier paper. The blue side can remove smudges you see after using the pink eraser too. Have you ever wondered why oranges in supermarkets mostly come in the red mesh bag? It's a trick to make this food look more orange and encourage you to make a purchase. An extra tip, don't throw away the mesh bag. Tie it up so you can have a small pot scrubber to clean your sink, kitchen, appliances, and dishes. You can see golf balls don't have a perfectly round shape. Their surface is covered with many little dimples, something golf balls didn't always have. At one point, experienced golfers started noticing how, through time, older balls with imperfections, such as nicks and bumps, could travel further. Such things create turbulence in the air around the golf ball, which eventually reduces drag. So, manufacturers started producing balls with dimples so they could go farther and faster. You might have noticed that sometimes there are ridges in toothpick tops. It's more hygienic because when you break that off, you can prop the toothpick up on it, and it won't touch anything. Another safety feature you'll find, this time in your car, is a tab on your rearview mirror. With it, you can change the position of the mirror, so you don't get blinded if there's a car behind you with its high beams on. So this little tab helps you control the glare of lights coming from behind. This feature showed up in the 1930s, but in the early 1970s, it became a part of standard equipment in most trucks and cars. Do you see that tiny hole on your iPhone right next to the rear-facing camera? It's a microphone, and it's there so your phone can record sound as you turn your camera around. Some cables have a thick cylinder towards the end of the cord. It's called a ferrite core or a choke. It's a magnetic iron oxide that stops high-frequency electromagnetic interference. For example, you know that annoying static noise you get if you bring your phone too close to a speaker? This interrupts your call, which is why cable cords with big cylinders are pretty useful because they prevent these things. Do you know why nearly all luggage bags and backpacks have two zippers? It's way more convenient and easier to open in that way. But not just that. You can also lock these two zippers together to keep the stuff inside your bags safer. You know how toilets at public spots like malls have those big gaps at the bottom? It's primarily for better circulation of air. This type of door also makes it easier to clean the toilet or check if it's occupied if you're standing in line. Other than that, if you get stuck there and the lock gets broken, you still have a way to escape. You can just crawl out. Ever notice those plastic end caps on utility knives? And they also have scales on them, which indicates you may use them multiple times but with sharp edges. You can separate the blades through these plastic end caps. Then, you can move the slider and bring the sharp blade to the front. If you've ever taken a moment to examine a regular grocery cart, especially their fold-out section, you probably notice those metal loops jutting out. They're designed to protect the items you carry in your cart. You can use them to hang bags with soft items. You don't want to accidentally squish with heavier products, like bread, or easily breakable things like eggs. Many coffee mugs come with curved notches on their bottom. When you're washing your mugs, put them against the rack at an angle in your dishwasher. This way, the water won't pool in there, so your favorite cup will be completely dry by the time you take it out of the dishwasher. If you're a McFlurry fan, you've probably noticed there's a square hole in the handle of the spoon. It's there so you can attach it to the special machine that mixes the ice cream and your favorite toppings together. The machine has a bar that slips into this square-shaped spoon and then thoroughly stirs it. And you get the spoon so they can minimize the mess during the process. Quite neat, wouldn't you say? A regular milk jug has a dent on one side. Some might see it as a random design decision, but a dent has several purposes. One of them is to get bigger if there's a gas buildup. This happens when your milk is spoiled. So you don't even have to try to check this out. Also, the dent is there so the jug doesn't burst if you accidentally drop it. The dent allows the expansion space that deals with the sudden pressure that happens when you drop the jug. Dental floss. Sure, it's important for your dental health, and it's easy to assume what you do with it. But dental floss is great in the kitchen as well, because it's a very precise cake slicer, way better than a regular knife. Most kitchen shears have a serrated opening right there at the center where the blades and handles meet. It's something you can use to trim difficult herbs such as rosemary, thyme, or chives. Because of this opening, you don't need to pick the leaves off by hand, but de-stem them in one motion. The majority of gelatin containers or single-serving yogurts come with a tinfoil lid, and in most cases, you can use this covering as a disposable spoon. Just peel away the covering, and after a couple of simple folds, you'll have a perfect little spoon for your midday snack. In the airport, they usually ask you to take your laptop out of your backpack and put it in a separate bin while going through the security check. Laptops are dense and the X-rays can't see through them, so you could be hiding something dangerous there. If it's out and it's on its own in a separate bin, it's easier for the scanners to capture a prospective hazard. Normally, the messages you send using iMessage are blue, but look, this time it turned green. No need to panic. It's not like the user blocked you or anything. It's just that you sent a regular SMS and not an iMessage. iMessages can only be sent to people who own an Apple device. So, if the recipient doesn't have one, they're all gonna be green. Another reason your phone might opt for an SMS is that your iPhone isn't connected to the internet. iMessages go through the web, and SMS uses a cellular signal. The jacks you put in your devices have little plastic rings on them that separate different sections. These sections are called pins, and each of them serves a different purpose. Each plug will have at least one plastic ring because any plug must be separated into at least 2 pins. One of them is there to cancel out any interference, and the other to carry the signal. If, for example, your headphones have 1 ring and 2 sections, they have a mono playback. They deliver the same sound to both your right and your left ear. If there are 2 rings and 3 sections, then there is a basic one to cancel out interference and the other 2 for either ear. 3 rings and 4 sections mean that you have a set, 1 basic, 1 for either of the ears, and the last one is the microphone pin. I bet you've never even noticed, but all credit cards, no matter what bank or country they come from, are the exact same size. The first ever credit card was issued in 1958 by the Bank of America. And later, the international standard was established for every issuer around the world to follow. The standard dictates both the proportions and the thickness. Whistles can work perfectly fine even if they don't have that ball inside, yet they all have it. That's because even though there's a sound without the ball, the noise it creates is very flat and not distinguishable enough. When you blow, the ball starts moving around inside, creating different pitches and making the noise more noticeable. Jeans have had those metal rivets ever since they were invented. Jacob Davis, the man who made the first pair of jeans, added copper rivets to those spots where the pants were more likely to rip to make them stronger. Today, they have more of a decorative purpose because they're distinctive and traditional for jeans. A basketball has little dots all over its surface, and they serve as friction points. It's important for that ball not to slip out of the hands. There were times when they played basketball with a soccer ball. The floor was very slippery, and it was impossible to play because you'd have to be very careful just to keep the ball in place. So, they had to redesign it. The more points of contact any object has with some surface, the more friction there is, and the less likely it is to slip on the surface. So, that's how the ball got its dots. Those holes at the end of the handles aren't just there for you to hang your pans easily. You can also place your cooking spoon in there while making a meal. It'll hang right above the pan, and the sauce won't spill around. Make sure to tap off the sauce or food beforehand though, so that it doesn't go down the spoon's handle. You unload the dishwasher, and while everything is dry, your plastic containers get all wet once again. Seems like they never get dry, and that's actually true. The reason for it is the material. The dishes heat up and cool down slowly, so the remaining water evaporates and dries out easily. When you take out those plastic containers, they cool down way too fast, so the water doesn't dry out of the surface and just stays there. Another water source is those upside-down cups that collect water on top. But have you noticed that cups have chips on the bottom? They serve as a water drain in the dishwasher. So yeah, these cups don't accumulate water in the dishwasher. Take a look at aluminum foil. One side of it is always shiny, and the other one is dull. When producing the foil, they flatten it with rollers. It's so thin that the rollers tear it. So they take 2 layers at a time. So the sides facing the roller remain shiny, and those in the middle stay dull. We say it all the time, 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. without thinking. Why such a choice of letters? It's just Latin, which is still used for many other abbreviations. AM stands for ante meridiem, which means before noon. PM stands for post meridiem, meaning afternoon. Same with pounds, which are noted as LB from the Latin phrase libra pondo. Most movie theater seats are red, and the reason isn't better visibility, but quite the opposite. In low light conditions, red is the first color that fades away in our eyes. And that's what we want in a movie theater, to see nothing but the screen. Also, movie theaters were inspired by fancy Italian opera houses, so that's another reason too. Have you ever wondered why so many Disney characters wear white gloves? Well, back when animated movies were black and white, putting white gloves on characters was a way to make the hands stand out from the rest of the body. Then animation evolved, but the gloves stayed as a Disney tradition. But there are other reasons too. Human hands make animal characters more humanized and relatable. Also, those gloves are way easier to animate, which speeds up the process. Cats often rub their bodies against your legs, but do you know why they do it? This way, they transfer their scent to you, marking you as their territory and as their human. It's also a sign of affection. By doing this, they show that you're part of their inner circle. Wonder why it's so hard to swat a fly? Well, to a fly, we're sloths. That's because they see things in slow motion compared to us. Species have a different perception of speed. The speed we see will be twice as fast for a turtle, and it will be 4 times slower for a fly. Turn a video to 0.25 speed and imagine someone approaching you at this pace. Well, that's how a fly sees you. So yeah, it has enough time to escape. Road signs have different shapes and colors to send different signals to your brain. Oval shapes are more friendly, and squared ones are very familiar and secure, so they're usually regulatory. Triangles reflect instability, so they're usually warning signs. And finally, the stop sign has a special octagon shape, the most unusual and unsettling. It's supposed to draw your attention to it. Together with the red color, this sign stands out the most, just like it's supposed to. Some sidewalks have little plates with bumps on them. We don't pay much attention to them, but they're very important for visually impaired people. They signal a slope that then leads to a crosswalk. Also, there are several patterns that signal different things. Name the school grades: A, B, C, D, and F. No E, but why? The modern grading system dates back to 1897. In the beginning, it was all the letters from A to E. A meant excellent. B was good. C was fair. And D was passed. Below that was an E, or fail, which was often confused with the opposite, excellent. So soon enough, it was changed. F for fail is way more intuitive. How many hidden features are there in your car that you have never heard of? Most cars these days have everything color-coded under their hoods. It makes it way easier to know what you need to supervise between services, like the dipstick, the oil cap, or the coolant. You can even have a look at the brake and washer fluid. Anything else that's black or gray, just leave it to the mechanics. Ever seen a snowflake light on the dashboard of your car? It's not there to let you know the winter holidays are coming if that's what you're thinking. It's actually a sensor that indicates the exterior ambient temperature. It gets activated and pops up the light whenever there's a road warning due to a sharp drop in temperature. It may sometimes even come on with an audio warning or a message on your dashboard to warn you that the roads may be getting icy, so you can either adapt the speed or change to the appropriate tires if necessary. Most cars come with added features for the summertime too, like those neat sun visors. Yours might have an added bonus you might want to check out. We all know they twist to help the driver out when the sun is not shining from the front. But some of them can also extend, so they can provide shade to a larger area. If you figure out your sun visor doesn't extend, there's a simple solution though. Buy a sun visor extender. You can even find them online. They work by being attached to your existing sun visors or windows for better shade coverage and visibility. Let's find some hidden features at home. It's not rocket science, but there is a wrong way to make ice in the freezer, and that's because you're probably not using the ice cube tray correctly. They come with that particular shape because you need to fill the trays until there's a layer of water on the top. This layer will help remove the cubes faster from the tray because it will crack when twisted and leave each cube poking out. You can then grab them in no time and enjoy your drink. If you find that the heat on your oven is too high or you need to cook some delicate dishes that require more control over the temperature, there's an easy way to adjust that. The knobs on your oven should come with calibration screws on their backs. Pop out the plastic knob and adjust it to your preferences. Be sure to disconnect the oven from any energy source before doing it. Do you know what your stove and your car have in common? They both have hoods that you can open if you need to have a peek, or if they need some cleaning. If you look closely at the top of your kitchen stove, you will see two hinges located on the back corners. You'll be able to easily lift it up and clean out all the grime that's been stuck in there. Ever wondered why glue doesn't stick to the inside of the bottle? The answer is a bit more complex, depending on the type of glue. But the simple response is, well, it doesn't have any air in there. PVA glue contains some molecules called polymers and water. When the glue is out, the water evaporates, leaving just the sticky polymers behind. Things are more or less the other way around with superglue. It has a chemical that solidifies as soon as it hits water vapors in the air. Did you know Microsoft Word has a feature that you can use for references and a bibliography? It's not only helpful for keeping track of everything, but it also automatically formats all the information accordingly. If you like to surround yourself with as many houseplants as possible, here's an easy way to figure out if they need watering. Stick your fingers into its soil. It should give you a better idea than simply looking at the plant's surface. If you can reach 2 to 3 inches into the soil and feel it's dry, the plant most likely needs some hydration. However, this trick does tend to work better with smaller potted plants because of the limited depth. In any case, it's always best to research the plant's needs in terms of watering and sunlight before committing to a plant. And always be careful not to damage its roots. Be honest, you indeed have clothes you wear all the time and some that just sit there in the back of your closet that you've most likely forgotten about. Here's a neat way to figure out which one is which. For starters, you'll need to turn all of your hangers backwards. If you really feel like putting more effort into this project, you can wrap some pieces of electrical tape on the hangers and write the start date on each. After that, everything is pretty self-explanatory. Each time you wear a particular item, turn the hanger around, making it face forward. After 6 months or a year, all those items that have yet to be turned around should go to donations or yard sales. Another great way to use hangers to help you with your wardrobe organization is to use them for your scarves. They will be wrinkle-free, but you can also see them a lot better and have a clear view of the scarves you actually use and those you should let go of. If you're looking to increase the storage space in your wardrobe, especially when the season changes, go pick yourself up some vacuum-packed storage bags. After that, you just need to fold your garments or other pieces of laundry, like bedding or blankets for example, and place them in the bags. Turn on your vacuum cleaner, place the nozzle on the bag seal, and remove all the extra air from the bag. It helps with reducing the storage size of clothes and keeps the clothes clean, dry, and moth-free. Should you have an empty basket lying around and you aren't sure if you want to recycle it just yet, you can always repurpose it as a cool lamp. Wicker baskets work best for this. Just cut a small hole in the bottom of the basket and place a pendant light kit there. You can even paint it manually, or spray paint if you need it to be in a particular color. Another way to neatly repurpose things around the house is to use leftover cookie jars to store dryer balls, but the sky's the limit here. You can also use dryer sheets to remove dust from screens around your house, like computers, laptops, or TVs. These items are electrically charged, so they generally attract a lot of dust particles. Dryer sheets are made to reduce static cling, so they won't only remove the dust but also help keep it at bay for a longer period of time. Dryer sheets also help out if you're having a bad hair day, believe it or not. They can seriously help out taming flyaways whenever your frizz just gets out of control. Run one of those dryer sheets from the roots of your hair all the way down to the tip, and be amazed. If there's a particular type of soap bar you like the smell of and want to replicate that on your clothes too, pick up one of those bars to make a day's clothes fresher. Place it in a fabric and place it anywhere between your clothes. Your shirts should smell awesome every time you pick them up. You can also save on fabric softener. I don't know about your washing machine, but mine does love to jump, I'll tell you that. If yours tends to run out of its designated place, especially during those intense spinning cycles, it happens because it's not perfectly fixed to the floor. The good thing is that most modern washing machines can self-level since they come with a pair of legs. Just lift the back of the device off the surface area it sits on, and it will drop them, locking them into place once it's perfectly leveled.
Welcome to an uninhabited island. How did we end up here? Well, I don't know. But now we have to survive here for a couple of days, and I'll teach you all I know. Gladly, wherever I go, I'm always prepared for a situation like this. So in this magical backpack, I've got everything we're gonna need for survival. The first thing is, of course, a knife, which will come in handy in many situations. Surrounded by the ocean, you don't have any drinking water available. Oops, I didn't put any water in the backpack. But don't panic. Your most reliable source of water here is the coconuts. So we need to fetch some of those. If you're lucky to get some green coconuts, you can cut them open with a knife. It's relatively easy. But the problem is that they grow high up on the tree. You're free to climb up there to get some, but it's not gonna be easy. Luckily, when coconuts mature, they turn brown and fall off the tree. The water inside stays safe to drink for about 9 months, so you can pick some up from the ground. The problem here is that they can be pretty hard to open. However, if you're lucky to have a screwdriver, it won't be a big deal. Also, a simple stone can crack a coconut for you, but don't forget to wrap it in a towel or even a t-shirt beforehand. Remember that you can't drink as many coconuts as you want. Don't drink more than 5 brown coconuts a day, unless you want to get an upset stomach. By the way, the same goes for green coconuts. After you drink a brown coconut, don't rush to throw it out. You can scrape off the white part and eat it. It's totally edible. I admit I didn't bring any bowls, but this is once again where coconuts come in handy. It can be turned into one. After you cut it open, you have bowl-shaped pieces. Start by removing all the white stuff from the inside until it's just a shell. This is going to be your bowl, but we'll make it pretty. Scrape the hair off using the knife. Then you can rub it around with sand, making it smoother. The last thing to do is to polish it with the coconut's very own coconut meat. The oils in it will make your bowl shiny and pretty. Okay, the most important skill is to make fire, of course. I did put a couple of lighters and a matchbox in the bag to make it easier, but you just can't be a qualified survivor if you don't know how to start a fire without them. You need to find a curved piece of wood and tie a bowstring to it like this, so it looks like a bow. In case you don't have a nylon cord, a shoestring will work too. So whenever you go traveling, wear shoes with laces, I guess. Next, find a piece of dry hardwood. It will be your spindle. You will need to wrap the string of the bow around it so you can create friction. The spindle can be fixed to a board with a notch that can hold it. Also, you'll need to find another piece of wood that's usually called a hand block. It should have a dimple carved into it, which will make it easier for you to create friction. So here's how it goes. The board holds the spindle, and you twist the bowstring around it just like this. On top, you hold the spindle with a hand block. Then you start moving the bow, rubbing it around the spindle and creating friction. It will start heating up, and in the end, you'll get an ember. After you get an ember, you need to carefully move it to a bundle of tinder and blow on it, trying to start the fire. It's gonna be tough to do it the first time, but after you get a hold of it, you can start the fire in less than 5 minutes. Now that we have the fire, we need food. The obvious choice is to go fishing. So in my magic backpack, I have a fishing kit. It's just a small box with some hooks and strings, but it's gonna be a tremendous help. The rest is just practice and skills. If you manage to catch some, you need to cook it. And that's the easy part now that you have both fish and fire. Wrap your fish in coconut leaves, tie it up with bark, and put it on the coals of your fire. Wait for about 20 minutes, but before eating, make sure it's well cooked. Just pierce the fish at an angle with a fork or a toothpick and twist gently at the thickest point. If the fish is cooked, it will flake easily. Bon appetit! Everything changes when the sun goes down. You have to be prepared for the night. So, during the day, you have to make a shelter out of sticks and palm tree leaves. Pieces of bark can be used as strings, but it's also a good idea to walk along the shore and see what gets washed out. There can be a lot of trash there, and some of that can be useful. If you go to an island, you need to have devices that will help you not to get lost. I have something here. It's a multifunction water-resistant watch I got on Amazon. Apart from the time, there's also a compass, a thermometer, a scraper, a whistle, and even a fire starter. Yeah, you don't really need to spend 2 hours with the sticks, but I wanted to teach you. So take the watch with you as you go into the jungle. We need material for the shelter: sticks, bark, and palm tree leaves, which are actually harder to pull off the tree than you may imagine. So dry ones on the ground work too. Make the roof of the shelter using palm tree leaves, but also put some on the ground for you to lie on. But be careful. Make sure that the leaves you're using are free of snakes, spiders, or scorpions. You don't want any of them in your bed. The other thing is that at night, insects and many other creatures come out, and they will be very happy to join you in your shelter. So the fire and termite mounds around the shelter will help to keep at least some of them away. Others can still sneak in and climb under your clothes, walk on you, and bite you. So, time for the magic backpack. Here, I have a survival sleeping bag. Being just 4 inches long, it doesn't take up much space, but it's tear-resistant, waterproof, and keeps your body heat inside. Plus, it has sealed seams, which will keep out water, wind, and any insects. You can find it on Amazon. Also, don't build the fire right in front of the entrance of the shelter. In this case, you might end up breathing smoke all night. And now you're all set. Just a couple of tips on how to survive. Your phone, which is probably the one thing you'll have with you, is pretty useless here. But not exactly. The screen of your no-signal cell can be used to reflect sun and moonlight to send SOS signals. Second, in conditions when you don't particularly have much water resources, try to keep your body cool. So just walk in the water once in a while so it doesn't get overheated and so that you don't get too dehydrated. And, of course, always have a first aid kit with you. It's the last survival thing I have in my backpack. Also from Amazon. It's a water-resistant bag with a pair of scissors, band-aids, tweezers, bandages, and so on. Pretty useful stuff in the wild. Happy survival, even though I hope you'll never have to do it unprepared.